I'm curious how long was the VA operating in your agency such that they did enough to warrant a review, and how long does that usually compare with other staff? Are they in for months before they get a review, weeks, days? How I'm curious on that if there's a timeline that exists like that before they get reviews.
Yeah, no, so with us, we're pretty aggressive about the review stuff just in general. And so we have a ticketing system, right? We use agency Zoom. Service gets us everything that happens in service gets a ticket. One of the things that from the agency VA standpoint, I think a lot of people when they hear VA, they think like unlicensed VA, but we utilize licensed VAs. So we have a licensed VA. His name's Johnny. He's awesome, military vet, based in, I think he's in South Carolina. So got a cool thing there. But after they completed a service ticket with somebody, there's like a follow up survey that goes out. And then if they say, 4 or 5, like, they do the stars. If it's 4 or 5, then it asks them to post a Google review. And that's where Johnny made a big enough impact on somebody to go give him a couple of sentences and a shout out.
I love that. I think that when they said it, it warms my heart because one of my objectives as the owner of Agency VA, you think this is a silly objective, but it's very real. It's the humanization of the VAs because people have the tendency to write them off. People have the tendency to not give them the credit they deserve. And so when they do good enough work in an agency that they're getting a Google review, I go nuts and get excited. And I'm glad that that your VA is serving your agency well. So that's fantastic.
Well,
I'm
I
also
think
curious. Go ahead, Mike.
did I hear you? Did I hear you correctly, CJ? Did you say that this VA? I know you've got a couple of them. Is based out of South Carolina?
That's correct. He's US based.
I don't think enough people realize that you also have a legion of domestic VAs as well, Wes. I think that's something that, generally speaking, the agent force, those that are maybe a little bit leery of letting data or stuff like that outside the country, which that's a them issue. You've mitigated those issues with the steps that you put in the stuff you put in place. If that's something that mentally they just can't get past, the domestic availability is huge with you guys.
Interestingly enough, as you're saying, Mike, with Agency VA, before it started, the compliance department of each of our carriers, for me to maintain my commissions, because remember, I'm an agency owner, still didn't sell it, still kept it, gonna keep it, love my agency. But when I called them and I said, I'm gonna create Agency VA, please don't take my commissions. And then they were like, well, are international people gonna have access to our social security, driver's license, birthdays? And I was like, bingo. They were like, well, can you build us a software that tracks every keystroke, mouse movement? And that's when Ava started, and it was right before COVID. We built this remote worker software, and I remember thinking in my head, no one's going to work remote. They're not going to do it. It's never going to happen. But I'm like, look, I can't jeopardize my commission. I'm going to build this stupid software. Built the software, and then COVID hit, and the rest is history about remote work and the validation of our software, Ava. But when you pair Ava with an insurance licensed VA, you're literally, from a credential standpoint, you have someone that's operating with the same credentials as the owner of the agency. They have that insurance license. And it's a powerful combo, licensed, international, whatever, it doesn't matter. All of our VAs have Ava attached with them to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so my VA's name is Johnny. And his review, I actually just pulled it up. It said, "Mr. Johnny was very professional in handling my requests for adjusting my insurance policy. The new policy immensely increased the quality of life for this veteran." So it was good stuff, man. And Johnny's a veteran too, so like it worked out. We got two vets that were working together there. So
I love that. I love that. And I think this is a beautiful segue into Thought Leader Thursday. I fanboy and follow CJ's posts. Many of the things I think I've messaged you and shared with you that you put on your posts, I throw to our IT team or our tech team and I say, figure this out. And I get so much, who is this brilliant guy that's putting these posts together? Because that's freaking awesome.
appreciate that.
So it's something that I've been really excited on the calendar for this Thought Leader Thursday to speak with you, because you're just someone that I admire and you very much live that law of abundance. you kind of put yourself out there in social media with the things that are benefiting you. And that's kind of like the purpose of Thought Leader Thursday, is to kind of put stuff out there for agencies to benefit.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I have people ask me a lot. They're like, why do you post so much and give stuff away? I'm like, well, the fact of the matter is that most of the people aren't going to do it. So I don't have to worry about people copying it. And the people that are willing to do the work to do it, they deserve it anyway. So that just might as well put it out there, and we'll let them roll.
And the fact of the matter is, you can give everyone the recipe to execute it, and like no one's going to do it the same way that you do it. And I'm not saying you specifically, because you're a superior talent, which you in the marketing and technology world absolutely are. It's just a matter of no one is going to be replicating and duplicating down to the letter. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, part of, and actually, I think I referenced this kind of in a post I did yesterday on Twitter. It's like, the insurance space is so interesting because like our businesses are all doing the same thing, like selling insurance, servicing insurance, but they're all run so differently. There's no recipe of like, this is the model that you have to do to be successful in this space. And I love that about insurance, is the uniqueness of it. So yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like, I throw out conceptual ideas. I think Wes is referencing, one of my favorite things to do is figure out stuff that software companies are charging people a ton of money for, and then figure out how to make my own. Yeah, that's my Tennessean in me, man. We come out with that bootleg moonshine version of whatever the thing is, and we'll just throw it out there.
And we copy those. We copy those to a T at Agency VA to see if we can figure it out and give it to our clients. And every time I send it over to our tech team, they're like, Wes, we know you didn't come up with this. I'm like, no, this is not a meeting. Like, literally, you can look at the screen shares. The dude's name's CJ. Figure it out, and they come back and they're like, the brilliance behind what he did is so awesome, because you're literally standing on the shoulders of other technologies that exist. With some of the zaps that I see you doing with ChatGPT, but you're orchestrating it and putting it together in such a brilliant, beautiful way, that the outcome, it is what companies are charging a lot for, and some of those softwares are free that are executing on it.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating that you figured that out.
Yeah, man, I love it. That's a good hobby of mine. So anybody out there that sees this, you see something, you're like, man, I wish we could do this. Like whatever that thing is, I'd love to put my brain to it, just to play around with it a little bit.
Funny story about CJ. CJ, when did we first start developing our friendship?
Probably like
20? No, not
ish,
yeah.
2019, somewhere in there.
I think probably late 18, early 19.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And I remember, we started our relationship when you joined the Collective Agency Council.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And I remember, we're gonna flip to the other side of abundance. We're gonna flip to the whole scarcity side of the coin for a second here. I remember when you joined the Collective Agency Council, and if you're watching this, you're not familiar. It's a agency mastermind that we host, focuses on marketing and automation. When you first joined the Collective Agency Council, Taylor and I called Taylor up because I already knew who you were, and I was like, why is the dude in soup that's on our level or possibly even better than us joining our program? Is this something that we need to be worried about? And it was before we knew you.
Yeah, I know where this story's going.
and then once we started getting to know you, it was like, I mean, dude, it was so cool. I mean, like the whole reason you joined, I won't tell your story or whatever, but you were looking for like-minded agents, and we couldn't have stumbled into a better person to run with a lot of what we do with Insurance Soup.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The genesis of that, I'll take you a step further back there, Mike. So what happened was I was looking for agents that were doing some of the same things that I was trying to do, like on an automation and how we run agents, like everything around that. And like one day I was literally in the shower and I was like, man, I wonder if there's any insurance Facebook groups. Maybe that'd be cool. So I pulled up now. I actually joined another group first, and they were like, hey, make a introductory post to welcome you to the group. And I made a post, but at the time, again, I try to do things a little differently. That was when live photos first came out on the iPhone, and you used to be able to do this.
Remember those?
Do what? Yeah.
Remember those, the live photos?
You used to be able to post a live photo on Facebook, and when people would click the photo, it would play the video. So I posted that in this group saying like, "Hey, I'm CJ. I'm an agent in Nashville." Da, 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 and they kicked me out. And so that was my first interaction with a Facebook group of any kind. Was I made a post, and my first post got me kicked out. So good times. But that so
Well, that did not happen in Insurance Soup, although
it did not.
I am sure that there are agents that have similar stories to how they felt with their short stays in Soup for whatever crimes they were accused of. But yeah, man, you were an absolute stud. You know, everything that you touch turns to gold.
Now I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get out of my office. Y'all swelling my head up like this. I gonna have to like take a. I'll read some of my like customer feedback or something, or emails about rate increases or something to bring me down a little bit before I try to.
Or just call your wife. Just call your wife. Wives have the tendency.
I don't have my wife is she gets me hyped up too. So I don't
Got it there too.
But true
Oh,
story.
my wife then.
True story though. CJ has made me a worse marketer because I've got a CJ now. So problems that I would have gone down the rabbit hole and taught myself, I now am able to be like, CJ, do you know how to do this? And the answer is like almost all the time, yes. And he's just able to get it done so lickety split that like me going to learn it for 2 hours versus CJ, can you help me with something? I have actually probably taken a step or two back as a result of having you by my side.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
it's not good for me, but it's a testament to how awesome you are. So,
but just I love tinkering with stuff, figuring it out. I'm a car guy too, so that I think it kind of layers over into that. But yeah, like some of the stuff Wes was talking about, that we've done. It's all about helping the agent, man. At the end of the day, I don't view. We're talking about like agency level. I don't view other agents as competitors to me. Like you guys can see behind me, there's like an office complex right there, and there's another insurance agent right there. I don't care anything about being there. It doesn't bother me because I want to see the success of like the local agent. What I view as a competitor is the direct to consumer, anything that eliminates the agent from the equation. And so anything that I can put out into the world that helps an agent compete with those type companies, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it quickly and hopefully as inexpensively for the agent as possible.
Well, you're definitely very selfless in everything that you do and all that you provide to the industry. What do you want to talk about today? What do you want to tackle?
Dude, I think right now, like where the insurance space is, I think one thing that I bring to the table that a lot of agents, principal agents don't have is like, I still sell insurance every day. And I feel like that gives me like a ground level feel for like what's going on in the industry. And I think right now there's a lot of agents that they need to generate business, but they can't just generate anything like they could in the past, right? Like they have to generate like a certain niche type of business. And so I think one thing that a topic we could dive into is just like organic social media, like generating using your audience that you have and generating opportunities for your agency with intent. Everybody hears I tell this story somewhat frequently, but there was when I was first getting started in my career, I was sitting at a popular local lunch spot, and a agent from a captive came up behind me, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, making some Facebook posts. I'm scheduling them out for my page." And he slapped me on the back and he said, "Bud, I'm going to give you some advice. If you want to sell more insurance, you should get off Facebook." And I said, "I don't think that I'm going to take that advice, and we're gonna roll with it." And we built a great business off of Facebook. So I love to talk about just organic social marketing. I think that's a topic that resonates with most agents right now.
For sure. Now, when you say organic, I don't know that everyone that is is tuning in from Insurance Super or any other avenue, that might not be a term that is familiar to every agent out there. Amongst the marketers in the group, that's a very common term. But why don't you share with us what you mean by organic?
Yeah, so when I say organic, I'm thinking non-paid advertising, right? We're connecting with people and using those connections to leverage attention, which is really all we're doing, which it turns into leads. So you have to there's a fine line there between providing value and spamming people. And so you got to figure out how do I play in this providing value lane? How do I provide value to the customer? Because the problem is that insurance agents, when it comes to social media, most of them were taught, and for those that are just listening to audio on this, I'm throwing up air quotes, taught to do social media by the carriers. The carriers come out and they say, oh, we've got this great plan for you. Here's all these articles that you can post with these links, and these links go to our website, by the way, not your website. And they are for how to make your tiny home's backyard more spacious. And if you post this, you're gonna get it's garbage, it's trash. It's filler content is what it is. And so for me, like, I love teaching agents like, hey, that's cool. But all that stuff is terrible. Like those are not going to generate business for you. And I feel like a lot of agents were told by these carriers that that's the way that you're supposed to do it, and they were taught wrong. And so like I'm trying to like unteach that, if you will.
One of the things that comes to my head as you speak, CJ, is you hit something really heavy that I kind of want to double click on. You still sell insurance. If you're still selling insurance, you have an empathetic approach as you communicate to agents still doing that. And empathy is such a superpower. I mean, it's a core value in any company that I try to establish. The thing about carriers, unfortunately, love them, God bless them, but their level of empathy to what's going on the front lines, they may as well be on Mars sometimes. And so they're fiercely disconnected. So maintaining that connection as you go through these social media posts and stuff, I think is one of the superpowers that we need to do as agency owners. Curious your thoughts when you do posts and stuff. Do you leverage empathetic problems, empathetic solutions? Is that something that you try to leverage?
Of course, yeah. So I'm a little different than most people because I try to speak to agents and to my actual community, like the people that I'm trying to sell insurance to. So you'll see a little bit of both coming from me, which I think is a little different. But the big key thing is putting out content that resonates with the audience, right? And you use the word empathy. That is correct. Using what things that you're putting out should be things that your audience is going to care about, going to know about, like, trust, like all those things happen. So storytelling, anything like that is always going to be the way to go. And then figuring out how to storytell at scale, I guess would be probably like the bigger challenge. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Being able to connect with that audience in that way is exactly how you have success.
So there's a lot that goes into a long-term organic strategy, and I don't know that this call is the place to lay out an entire long form organic strategy to really get things pumping. But with the time that we do have, I think it would probably be a lot easier to articulate some of the major mistakes, problems, and pitfalls that you see agents that are trying to use social do. So maybe we can help some newer agents that may be looking to grind out opportunity on social, prevent them from messing things up with their own audience. Like, what are some things that you see agents out there doing that they absolutely should not be doing?
Yeah. So I think the very first one is going to be just the straight up spam type posts, like hey guys, call me today and save $30 a month on your insurance, blah 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 blah. It's noise, man. It doesn't resonate with the audiences, and it doesn't generate engagement. And kind of backtracking even into that, I think the biggest misunderstanding for most agents, and this is, and I'm gonna talk about Facebook, but really this is all the different platforms, is they don't understand how a post gets shown, right? Just because you post something doesn't put it in all of the people that follow you or your friends, doesn't put it in their newsfeed, right? You have to generate content that is relevant to the audience that drives engagement. So what ends up happening is these agents post these spammy type posts, nobody engages with them, and they're really just kind of like digging themselves a hole. I always use the story of the boy who cried wolf. Wes, the parable of the boy who cried wolf?
I know it well. I probably tell it to my kids. It's a once a month occurrence that I say, quit freaking crying wolf. So yes, I know it very well.
Exactly. So the Facebook algorithm works in the same way, and I like to use this as like a story. So basically, when we create content, we're telling our audience that we have something really, really important to say, right? Hey guys, I have this thing here, and we're putting it out. But it turns out that what we put out there wasn't all that great, right? So we cried wolf. This wasn't that great. The audience didn't engage with it. So the next time that we have something to say that actually is important, we go to put that out there. Facebook's algorithm remembers that I cried wolf before, and it's going to do my friends a favor and just not show them my post to begin with. So you can get yourself in this cycle of like, you're not getting anyone to view your posts because your posts are boring and they're not driving engagement. And then therefore, when you make posts in the future, less and less people are seeing them. And so you end up digging yourself a huge hole that's hard to get out of.
So CJ, you're painting a picture for the agent that's listening right now, where they might be thinking to themselves why does Facebook care? Why does Facebook have it out for me? Why does Facebook give any cahoots as to whether or not I'm banging a drum and who's listening? Like, what's the reasoning behind it? Like, why is Facebook slapping your hand if what you're saying isn't resonating with your audience?
Of course, no, that's a great question. You always have to follow the money, right? Facebook's a business. They're a big, big, big business, and they didn't get that way because you shared pictures of your dog. The way they got that way was by Facebook ads, right? People spending money on their platform. And the way that they get people to spend money is by scrolling. Every time you scroll, every fourth post is an ad. Just think of it like this. Every time you scroll on your phone at night, every time you roll past an ad, just make a little cha-ching sound. And that was you paying Mark Zuckerberg like 2 pennies or something like that, right?
I would love to see the ads that get served to you on your Facebook. They've got to be very, very interesting.
I get all kinds of random stuff. But the point of that, and to like wrap up your question there, is if I'm Facebook, I want people to stay on my platform as long as possible. The reason I want that is the longer they scroll, cha-ching, 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 right? So if you as a user are putting out content that is boring, that is not driving engagement, Facebook sees that as a liability to their platform. They don't want bad content, because if all the end user sees is content that they don't like and they don't engage with and it doesn't resonate with them, they're going to leave and they'll be over on TikTok. And now TikTok's getting that ad revenue. So Facebook's algorithm is designed so that it shows the user the content that they think that user is going to like and engage with. And you want to be that content. So when you put out this stuff that just doesn't drive engagement, Facebook is not making money off of that. So therefore, they're just not going to show it to people, or as fewer people. It's just going to have your mom and that weird cousin everybody has on their Facebook page. It's the only people that are going to like.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that mom probably does engage with your content, which is why mom's seeing it.
That 100%. Exactly. So it's just one of those things that like you have to be intentional about like what you're doing on there. Everything might seem like, if you go and follow me on any of the platforms, right? What I do might seem random, but there's purpose behind everything. Even if you don't like see it in the time, like you'll see me, for instance, I'll go in and I'll throw a couple of posts up that get a ton of likes, right? Get a ton of engagement, a ton of people, and then I'll hit you with an insurance post after that. And you'll see that insurance post is going to do way better than most other ones would. It's because I've prepped the algorithm to be showing people my stuff, and then I hit them with the sale. So and there's not like a, hey, you should do 80%, personal, 20%. It's whatever the audience engages with, right? So if your audience engages every time you post a picture of your dog, double down on that. If
So what you just described as far as like the strategy is concerned falls very in line with a strategy that Gary Vee has taught over the years, and he even has a book about it. Jab, 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 right hook. Are you
correct,
familiar with it?
100%. I've read Jab, 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 Right Hook. That's a hard book name to say, by the way.
It
Jab.
is. It is.
Yes.
Is that strategy something that is in your mind as you are, you know, leveraging organic social, or is it just kind of something that you naturally fell into that kind of mirrors what you know, what he has taught over the years, or you know, how did that ultimately come about, and why do you run with it?
Yeah, so for me, like I've always, you know, and you specifically for those of you that do follow Gary Vee, like he talks about the attention thing a lot, right? The fact of the matter is that's what all of our marketing is. Like, why do you put a billboard up on the side of the interstate? Well, it's because you want people to see it, you want the attention, you want them to think of you when it comes to insurance. Why do you send out direct mail? Well, I'm hoping that when I send out my direct mailer and you open it, that insurance renewal is in there at the same time of their other carrier, and that you're going to pick up the phone. It's all about attention. So what Facebook and these other social platforms do is they allow us to have free attention if we push, if we're operating correctly, and we're generating content and things of that nature. So yeah, I think it's kind of almost become a habit. At first I was a little more intentional with it, like, you know, hey, we're doing, you know, every so often we'll throw insurance in there. Now I kind of, you almost learn what your audience will and won't engage with, and you can adjust accordingly to that, to make sure that you're maximizing the reach.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I always kind of chuckle about when I watch agents that are not trained around how to do things on social media that are trying, and I always applaud the efforts, is how much time or how much energy they spend on those insurance-based posts, because you know the goal is to obviously, you know, have the conversations and acquire business. But at the end of the day, the weight on your ability to build trust from those non-insurance based posts, the weight that carries when you start talking about insurance really can't be measured, and it's so powerful.
100%. You know, it's you're developing relationships, right? You're developing, you know, friends for all intents and purposes, and so you know, creating those relationships, really driving that home. You know, you know, from an insurance standpoint, like if we're talking about like insurance content, right? The things that I try to put out are typically like, hey, FYI, general public, you should know these things, right? And I put content out around that so that I don't come across as I'm even trying to sell someone something. Like you're very, very, very rarely going to see me make a post like that. Most of the time, my stuff is, hey guys, let me tell you this story about a customer I had today that they told me that they thought this, and here's why this is incorrect. So if you thought this too, that's not right. Here's the correct way. And I think that a lot of agents, they don't think about like what I guess I think they're scared to post some of that stuff because they're scared to say the wrong thing. But at the end of the day, posting something is better than not posting anything at all in most cases. So I just I feel like agents need to kind of get past that a little bit, and solve problems and create content around the problems that they deal with in their day. Kind of go back to what Wes said, you know, he's like, you know, being in agency is an advantage. And you know, one thing that you can do as an agent is take what comes up throughout your day and make content about that. If somebody picked up the phone and they called you and they had a question about whatever, that means there's probably somebody else that has that same question. And that's just an infinite amount of content that you can put out. And I'm talking about, you can do blog posts, you can do videos, you can do whatever, like, you know, Facebook stories, you know, any of those kind of things, will really, you know, help you. And the more content you put out, the more engagement you're going to get, the more people are going to see it, and it just snowballs.
So
Absolutely.
one of the things I've seen, and I wonder if you guys have seen this as well, I've seen some beautiful, brilliant social media stuff created by agents. And then I get a call and they're like, Wes, I got 3 views. Again, my mom, my crazy weird cousin, and then some rando. Why is that? And almost undoubtedly, one of the things that I am able to connect is it's because they're in Facebook and they do a YouTube link inside of Facebook. And when you follow the money, Zuckerberg probably doesn't want Google to get, to do super well. So are there very real throttles and governors in place when you cross pollinate social media platforms that aren't, fed by the same master?
100%. And that's what you just used is a great example. Taking a link of any kind and putting it in a Facebook post, in my opinion, is always a recipe for disaster. And the reason for that is in the example you gave, somebody put a link to a YouTube video. What you've essentially just told Facebook's algorithm is like, hey, Facebook, we know that like you have this platform, but for this content that I'm putting out, Google's platform is better. So I want to host my video there and people should go look at it there. And that's always going to do poorly. But it's the same
To
thing.
put that in insurance terms, if you're watching this and you're an agent, ideally if you're watching this you're an agent, otherwise you're probably bored to death at this point. But like it would be the equivalent of me walking into Hutsenpiller Insurance and offering anyone that comes in free quotes from my agency.
100%. And
Like
and
you would never let that fly.
work. And it's that way for all, like, links to your website, links to, your Canopy Connect link. Like I see that one all the freaking time. And like there's people that do okay, they do okay with it. Like you're gonna get some views, but like if you want stuff to get, hundreds and hundreds of views, just for context, for like scalability purposes, my social. And I've got a train coming by if y'all want me to pause for a second. Mike, if you want to jump in on this.
Well, I'm by a beach, so I've got the waves crashing like crazy out here. So I think a train is I think we're gonna be okay. And there really is a train. Oh my gosh. Trains and waves, baby. I freaking love it.
Trains and waves.
Trains and waves, boats and hoes.
That's what, if I ever need a ride downtown Nashville, I can just hop on the back of that car that just went by, and I can be down there in about 6 minutes from my office. But the links thing is terrible. Like I said, I mean, it's not going to completely kill it, but I mean, you're definitely putting your post at a disadvantage by doing that. You'll see me a lot of times, like I'll hide those links in the comments of places and things like that. And just for context of like, what we're talking about, like my Facebook, like a regular month for me, I'm going to generate somewhere around 50,000 impressions. And that's just from my post. But if I go in and I look, and if I've posted, a text post with an image versus that very same thing, but with a link somewhere else that I put in the post, the one with the link is going to do 90% worse than the one without it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that that you and I talk about offline when we are talking about some of the stuff that we do to move some of the products within soup or grow soup or things like that. You and I often have a conversation around building our audience intentionally, making sure that we're stocking the pond with the right fish, essentially. How are you doing that at an agency level with the way you operate on social media?
Yeah, so the very first thing I'll tell all agency owners out there is when you implement a social media strategy within your agency, you got to get your team involved. It can't be just you, right? Each one of your team is going to have different audiences. And I know that there's a lot of agents out there that probably got Facebook blocked on their office networks and stuff. So people can't be on it. But the fact of the matter is that you have people doing it correctly. You can really build up big. But what he's talking about with being intentional with an audience is when I view somebody that I'm connected with on social, right? There's really 3 buckets I throw them in. The first one is it's somebody that brings me value. That can be family, that can be close friends, that can be anybody that's putting out content that I want to see, right? That I know, like, trust, and that's it. The second one is like current customers. I think that if you're a current client, or if you have clients, it's really good to connect with them on there because then they get to see a personal side of you, and that helps with retention. Humongously with retention, you can see you'll see that very quickly happen. And then the last one are potential clients or referral partners, right? And so if you're not in one of those three buckets, I'm not adding you. I'm not allowing you to be, you know, in my sphere, because I only have 5,000 friend slots, right? I can't give one of those up for somebody that doesn't fall in one of those three buckets. So I build my audience that way.
If we can pause for station identification for a quick moment here, I wanna call attention to something that you just said. You
Okay.
just said we only have 5,000 friend slots. The average agent doesn't have more than 1,000 friends. You're panicking about not having more than 5,000 and growing your audience with intent, while most of the people listening here probably have, you know, 4,000 to 4,500 friend spots to still fill. Who should they be looking for?
The people in those two last are in they bring me value, or they have a potential to be either a client or a referral partner. I think that the spot that a lot of people miss is, you know, everybody thinks business is done on LinkedIn, right? And of course, like, LinkedIn is a great platform for all those things. But what LinkedIn really is a really good search platform. And so what I like to do is, let's say I'm looking for mortgage lenders in a certain community, right? I can go on LinkedIn, connect with them on there, all well and good, but most LinkedIn users, there are exceptions, but most LinkedIn users use LinkedIn for two things. They log into it once a month, they connect with anybody that sent them a connection, and then they will post whenever they lost their job and they need another job. That's the average LinkedIn user, right? So you're not getting a ton of engagement there, but taking the people that you find there that are in these different positions and connecting back with them on Facebook allows you to start creating a more of a personal relationship with them, which will allow you to you know, develop something meaningful.
Yeah, people are stuffy over on LinkedIn. They definitely open up a lot more on Facebook.
I try every once in a while. I'll throw a little curveball at the old LinkedIn algorithm and see what we come up. I'm not a huge LinkedIner, so if you guys are hearing this and you go look me up on LinkedIn, don't think you're going to be impressed. I use it as a search engine, but you know, that's something that, because a lot of people don't realize you can search for people by job titles, by location, by employers. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do down there. So.
For sure. For sure. Well, dude, you know, we haven't really openly discussed it yet, but you know, this is our official third episode of Thought Leader Thursday, and it is the very first one that you are appearing on, and you're appearing on it as a guest. But this is a show that is being held jointly between Agency VA and Insurance Soup, and you are a pretty big part of what we do with Insurance Soup. So I guess now may be as good a time as ever to reveal to the audience that if you're enjoying these Thought Leader Thursdays, that there will be an occasion here and there where you will actually be joining as a co-host, or perhaps even solo hosting some of these with some of our guests as well.
That could be happening from what I hear, but I guess before that happens, I'm really gonna have to work on my beard game, because, you know, between you three, I've got the weakest of all of you in the beard department, so I'm gonna have to work on.
Mine's pretend. This isn't real. This is actually just like I glued my pubic hairs to my face, so it's not even like it's not real. So you're okay, man. I can send you step-by-step instructions and you can do it. It works pretty well. So like that's all mine is. So
Noted.
don't feel bad.
Okay, noted.
Yeah.
Those are some serious chin hairs.
Armpit hairs.
Me and Mike are both like, I don't know what to say now.
Yeah, it's the armpit part, guys. Come on, get your mind out of the freaking gutter. Armpit hair. Come on, not that gross.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I'm pumped about that. It's gonna be a good time. Be like having a substitute teacher. We're just gonna watch movies all day.
Dude,
heads up, 7-Up.
Heads up, you know, everyone loves the substitute.
Everyone put your heads down right now.
Yeah. Well, we've
you know what's funny? Hold up, I gotta touch on this, Mike. It's funny that Wes and you and I are all from very different parts of the country.
For sure.
But we all just got that Heads Up 7-Up reference. It was, I guess they taught that at substitute teacher school for the United States or something. I don't know what the deal is there.
That is what makes America such a great melting pot, right?
Heads up, Seth.
Well, we've got Soup Live coming up in May, and you are going to be our first and only three-time returning speaker. You are the only one hitting the stage that has hit the stage all three years so far.
And I haven't
And
tripped not one time yet. I'm proud of myself.
you have not tripped one time, but I would go so far as to say that when you have been done with each of your previous two talks, that you definitely, while you haven't tripped, you've left the audience's head completely spinning.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
I try to get up there and be like, how can I confuse as many people as possible? No, just
no. When I say spinning, I don't mean in a confused manner.
yeah,
I mean like you come out there like Willy Wonka. You come out there and you're like, come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. And the curtain drops when you're done talking, and the audience is just like, I had no idea you could make chocolate like that. And
yeah.
like they all want to open their own chocolate factories. That's how inspiring you are.
Well, I
Not just
appreciate that.
but not just not inspiring in like the you can do it type of inspiring like oh my goodness, this guy just gave me the recipe to be a heck of a lot more badass than the person that I look in the mirror and see. And it's a true testament to not only your knowledge and your wisdom that you've accumulated over the years, but your ability to disseminate and articulate it in a manner that the agents really enjoy, embrace, and are able to implement. So
I
we're
appreciate it.
we're excited to have you back up there this year because just because the
Maybe,
level of
Mike,
value.
maybe in the comments of this video, like, because I haven't picked this out yet, I should let the audience decide what I'm going to talk about. Because I don't know, I don't have a topic yet. Mike and Taylor, the last two times that I have spoke, they make my life real tough because they go, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about.
Well, because we know you're just gonna get up there and deliver the goods. It's like
yeah, it's just like, hey, yeah, just get up there. It'll be fine. But it'll be good. But if anybody has topics that they would love for me to touch on, happy to do it.
you know what? You know what? I'm not even going to be coy about it. We're going to do it for the cheap engagement. I'm going to put it in the copy of the Thought Leader Thursday when this goes live, and we're going to milk the cheap engagement cow, and we're going to figure out what CJ is going to talk about at Soup Live this year as I make
like
everyone comfortable with my with
yeah,
my milking gestures,
yeah.
which are probably not correct, but I digress.
Love
That's
it.
what happens when you get north of the Mason-Dixon. You get all sorts of ignorant assumptions around how farming works. But
good stuff, guys.
yeah. So if you have been enjoying what CJ had to share with us today, we're going to have the opportunity for you to download a PDF that kind of runs down a lot of what we talked about today, and I'm sure a couple of points that we didn't even get around to as well. There's a lot that we can talk about when it comes to organics and whatnot. So there will be a link somewhere around the video for you to grab the little job aid around what we've been talking about today. CJ, do you have any parting words of wisdom for the audience that have stuck with us to the nitty gritty very end here?
Yeah, I have two words that they should live by with organic social. You ready for this? It's really, really, really complicated. You ready?
The two words. Can I guess?
The two words. It's really complicated. You ready? Post more. That's it. That's all you got to do.
I was going with F it. I like yours better.
I thought he was going to say Post Malone. I was like, yes, let's do it.
Could be. Hey,
Dude,
hey,
I've noticed a lot of Post Malone pumping through the pumping through the Lento y Contento speakers.
Hey.
Yes, baby. We are a Post Malone family. He's when I'm not in Puerto Rico, I'm in Utah, and Posty is right up the road in Utah. Even though he's a Texas boy, he chose to reside in Utah, which I'm pretty certain Taylor's going to be doing the same thing. He's going to leave Texas and come to Utah and be a Mormon. And Post Malone, him and me will hang out in Utah.
There you go. Well, I don't know. Post Malone's been like trying to drop some country albums on us here recently too. So you gotta
And they're
watch that guy.
awesome. They're
Yeah.
awesome.
So
He's so talented.
I saw someone at some point a number of years ago when he was first starting to get famous say something along the lines of Post Malone looks like he smells. And I have not been able to get it out of my head, and I just assume that he probably has BO. But that's another episode.
I like the smell, baby. I
There we
love
go.
that smell.
He's
There we
good.
go.
He jams.
Nice awkward close to the phone. Cut.
All right, guys.
Cool guys. Appreciate
Pleasure.
y'all. This was fun.
Absolutely.
All right. See you later.
Talk soon.